Hello, how are you doing today? So today I'll be telling you the story of Gucci and how Gucci started and also how it evolved to be this big luxury brand we know today. So many people wear this brand of Gucci, but the story of Gucci is very interesting and some of the things which the family had to go through to be Gucci, to give Gucci its name which it has today. So the story of Gucci starts in the place of Italy, in a place called Florence, where the person who started Gucci called Guccio started the brand of Gucci. But in that time of Italy, Florence, it is Gucci and also his parents were living at that point, and his parents had a business, and that business was not going very well. So after the business got bankrupt, Guccio decided to go to England, where he will be able to survive there and also live there and earn a earning. At that time, the parents were left in Italy in Florence, and when Guccio went to England, he started seeing, also getting interested in people who are wearing some luxury brands, and also he knew that some people are blessed to have some things and some people are not blessed to have particular things, which can be simplified by have the people who have and the haves not. So Guccio, this interesting developed when he was working on a particular hotel in England, and that hotel he used to see that the rich people were wearing leather handmade goods and also suitcases of leather. So as he was seeing all this, in his mind he started developing an idea of making for the rich certain types of goods like leather goods so that the rich can have those particular goods. So Guccio later on, at that time, he had that interest, but he didn't have any capital that will help him to achieve what he wanted. So, and at that time also he didn't have knowledge on making what the leather goods which he wanted to sell for the rich people. But later on in the years, he was able to be employed and also worked in a leather shop where he learned skills on making the leather and also learned skill on how to design particular types of bags and also leather goods for rich people. So later on, at the age of 41, he had to save until the age of 41, 42 over there until he had a chance to open up his own store. So when he opened up his own store, Gucci at that time, he didn't have that mentality and also that purpose of expanding his business into many other different places. His only was just to open up a store, and also after opening up a store, that store will be able to feed his family, and that was just the end of the story. The people who had the motivation of expanding the business were Gucci children, and the children of Gucci were three. There were three sons and one daughter, so four of them colluded to become four. But later on in the years, the store which the father had opened, yes, it was receiving a lot of numerous orders from other people. So Gucci also, when he invested a lot and used a lot of money in that particular store until he got bankrupt. But the brother-in-law, the son-in-law of Gucci, who had married the daughter of Gucci, was able to loan Gucci some money, which will be able to be used to get Gucci out of that particular crisis of debt. So after they were able to loan Gucci the money, Gucci was able to get himself out of the debt. And the three ambitious sons were able to advise Gucci that they wanted to open up a particular store in Rome, Italy. So this at first Gucci was very adamant in opening a store in Italy because he didn't see any future and he wasn't motivated. But the sons were very motivated. So it ended up being a good idea opening up a store in Italy. And after Italy, the sales were booming and many people were liking the particular types of brands of Gucci, because at that time the people in Italy were looking for some type of gifts to send to their loved ones in different parts of the country. So Gucci at that particular place in Italy was a good option for the people who, and also the families who are there, so they can send for each other gifts. So the other store which they opened is in New York. Now that was the third store, which was a very shock to the father of Gucci, because the business at the rate which it was expanding so much, and also it was a shocking for the father, because the father had some initial intentions of having the business in that particular area of England only, not expanding it to other different places. So when the store was expanded to America in at that time, in I think it was 1940, 1920s over there, it was opened up they opened up a store in New York in America. And after opening up a store in New York, the father died because of a heart attack. It was very, he couldn't comprehend all of it, because that store also was so much draining, everything about opening a store. So the father died and left the shares of Gucci to the three sons. So the three sons were able to run Gucci, and they were able to expand Gucci even more. And Gucci was even going to other places like Hong Kong, also Japan. They opened many brand stores all over the world, and they were making even more leather goods, and they were making more luxurious goods. And so later on, we see that Gucci, after the three sons were left, it was Rodolfo, Aldo, and another son. And that other son died in the year of 1979 over there. After dying in the year of 1979, he left his shares to the wife. After leaving the shares to his wife, the two brothers were able to buy off these shares which he had left the wife. And so now they had equal shares, amount of shares, 50-50. Rodolfo had 50% of the shares, and also Aldo had 50% of the shares. Rodolfo and Aldo also were good brothers. They had also ambitious. And one thing, Rodolfo had one son which was called Mauricio, and also Aldo had three sons. There were three sons. Aldo, there were Paulo and another son. Mostly I know of the name of Paulo. So Rodolfo had only one son, and that one son, Mauricio, had married a particular woman which was a gold digger. And Rodolfo was very, very against that particular marriage, because this woman, one day she was caught saying that it's better to cry in a Rolls Royce than to be happy in a bicycle. So she was just particular gold digger, and she had nothing to hide about the gold digging. And also there's something which happened, which I'll tell you in the later uh, time on the video, which took place between the wife and also the husband Mauricio. So the father of Mauricio was very angry at Mauricio of marrying this woman, and this woman gave Mauricio two children. At that time, the relationship between Mauricio and also the father was very strange. And although it was very strange, the father, Rodolfo, didn't have any other option other than Mauricio, because he was the only son. And the other part of the other shares of 50% of Aldo, they would be divided equally among the three sons. So these sons also, one of the sons was called Paulo, and Paulo had 3% of the shares. And Paulo was particularly the black sheep of the family. And because being the black sheep of the family, he wanted to have also, and also wanted to be the designer of Gucci. And one thing the other brothers and also the family knew, that Paulo didn't have some good design. His designs were not the best designs, and making him the designer of Gucci will also bring down the company. So they didn't want him just completely to become the designer of Gucci. And this made Paulo very mad. And one day he took his father to court, and also he was able to sue his father, and also was able to rat out his father, that the father was evading some tax. So the father was later on taken to court, and he was found guilty, and he was jailed for around 152 days, 148 days over there. So, and also the battle didn't finish there. Paulo decided to take the brothers into court, and due to court, and he wasn't successful. And do you remember the sister-in-law, the daughter of Gucci Oguchi, who was the husband was able to live out, to give him a loan so that he could clear out his debt. That daughter wasn't given any particular shares. The people who were given the shares was only the sons, the three sons, but the daughter was left aside. And also the daughter took also those three sons and also the family to court, but she wasn't successful and ended up with nothing. So although her husband had also saved the company from being broke, but she wasn't appreciated in any way. So later on, we see that when Paulo now and the three brothers were the three cousin Paulo on the side of Aldo and also the side of Rodolfo, we see that it is Mauricio. So Rodolfo later on in the days, he died, and now the person who was able to take over was Mauricio. Mauricio took over the 50% shares of his father. So Mauricio, he was a good businessman. He ran the business of Gucci very well, and running the business of Gucci brought a lot of investors. And that at that time, Gucci was very had what they were doing. They had issued licenses to other retail stores, so anybody could also make Gucci if they wanted, as long as they had the licenses. So what Mauricio did was to after the first thing which he did after getting into the CEO and becoming the owner of the 50% shares, he scraped out that rule of the people being given licenses to make Gucci, and this helped a lot on the company, because the company now had to produce themselves the brands of Gucci, and they had to produce genuine goods, because giving out to people producing Gucci, they will produce goods which are low quality, and Gucci products were all over flooded all over the market, which was not good for Gucci company itself. So after scraping out this law, the Gucci brand now was exclusively for the rich people, and the rich people now could access Gucci, and it wasn't a common brand. Now it's the name of Gucci now was able to rise up. And also one thing which Mauricio did also was to also the brands and also shops which were all over the world, they were able to be cut around 50% to 60% of the shops which they had opened all over the world. Some of them were reduced to a particular type of number which was more favorable, which made the brand of Gucci less easily accessible. So also this rose the brand also and the name of Gucci for to be an expensive brand. So remember the three other cousins of Gucci. Now what Mauricio decided is for him to be able to have a say, he will have to get another investment company which will eventually be the one take over the other 50% shares of the his cousins. So the first cousin which his shares were bought was for, and this company, the investment company was called Investcorp. And the first shares which they took over was for Paulo, and Paulo had 3.3% shares. And they were able to buy these shares for around $40 million. And the other brother, his also other brothers, they sold their shares. So Investcorp had 50% of the shares in the Gucci, and 50% was for Mauricio. And at that time, Mauricio was now the one who was dealing, and they were allowed him to become the CEO. Mauricio had some good ideas, implemented some good ideas, and also one of the ideas was to scrape out the logo of Gucci, the double G. But this was a bad idea, and at first when the people were his ideas were implemented, the sales of Gucci now became low. After becoming low, the other people now the other investment corp now started complaining that he didn't have some good governance. He wanted to scrape out the logo of Gucci. This will bring down the sales of Gucci. But Mauricio defended himself and said, just give me 6 months and you'll see the brand rising up to to be a good brand. But the Investcorp refused, and they were able to buy out all the shares of Mauricio Gucci. And after buying all the shares, now they had 100% of the shares of Gucci. And one thing which after 6 months, which happened, the sales of Gucci now began to rise, as just had Mauricio predicted. The sales will rise in within 6 months. So later on, Mauricio, after they bought his shares, I don't there was the money which they bought his shares. It was around 150 million over there, 150 million dollars, or just around that figure over there. So after buying out, remember the gold digger wife. So the gold digger wife now, after she was very worried because she wanted a brand and now in her name. Now the Mauricio was not the owner of Gucci. So she was very worried. And also one thing, Mauricio and her got divorced, and this led to their relation to be so distant. And Mauricio now decided to go for another wife, and going for another wife, this was a bad thing which he was doing. And after this other wife which he had divorced, so the wife was able to plan assassination attempt on Mauricio, which was later on successful because Mauricio was shot 3 times in the head and was succumbed to the death which he was shot. And the shooting took place in broad daylight when everybody was seeing. So now the wife, later on in the years, that case had just slipped away for around 2 years. Now after 2 years, the case now ignited again, and the wife was taken to prison. And after being taken to prison, he was jailed for around 29 years. And it could have been lesser than 29 years, but the wife said that she won't be able to work because she has never worked in her whole life before. And one thing they wanted to do, if as long as the wife was to do some community work, they will be able to reduce the number of days which she was in jail. But she refused and said she will never work, and she has never even tried to work even before. So now the wife is in jail, and also the person who was sent to assassinate the husband Mauricio also was taken for a whole lifetime in jail. So later on, now Investment Corp now the big brand of Gucci, and it was owning Gucci 100%. Later on in the years of 1976, 75, there Investcorp now decided to sell its own shares, and it got around 2 billion profit of the shares which it sold to other people, because now it saw that it has reached its peak. So later on in 1997, there was a particular crash in the Japanese market, and this crash in Japanese market also made that Gucci brand also devalued in its stock, because Japan was a major place where the Gucci brand was also selling. So at that time, in 1997, the Gucci now started selling its stocks and also its stocks to other people. And one of the person who wanted to buy the stocks of Gucci was a person called Bernard Arnault, the owner of Louis Vuitton. So, and one thing Bernard Arnault is commonly known for is just trying to take over other companies, but he was unsuccessful in taking over Gucci brand, where Gucci brand was able to gather up other investors. And after getting other investors, Gucci brand now was able to go further, and it has also had CEOs around the year of 1997 to 204 over there. They had some particular CEOs and also some brand designers who were the top-notch brand designers who made the Gucci brand even more popular. It also made the brand Gucci stand tall. And even today, the Gucci brand also owns other brands like Balenciaga. It owns most of the brands like what Louis Vuitton has done. So Gucci, this is the story of Gucci, and I hope you like this video, and please subscribe to this channel. And if you want to watch other videos like this, just turn on the notification bell. When I release any video like this, it will be notified to you and you will be able to watch it. So thank you, till we meet next time.